Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something a little different. We're not just looking at a story, we're looking at a story that's secretly a high-powered learning tool. We're going to break down how a Slavic myth about a stolen thunderstone can actually teach you some seriously advanced English vocabulary. All right, let's get into it. So, this is the big question for today, right? Can a single short myth really help you remember over 30 complex words better than, say, a stack of flashcards? Well, the source material we're looking at is betting a big yes, and we're about to see exactly how it pulls it off. Okay, so first up, let's talk about the structure here. We're not just going to retell a story. We're going to pull back the curtain and see how it's engineered from the ground up to be a powerful framework for learning. And here's the core concept. Trying to learn words from a list is just tough. It's like learning in a vacuum. This story, though, it doesn't give you a list. It gives you a world. You get to see every single word in action, and you feel its meaning through the hero's journey. It's really the perfect vehicle for this, giving us this natural flow from a huge problem to a final solution. Every great hero's journey kicks off with a major problem. So let's meet our hero and see the crisis that's going to set him on his path and, introduce us to our first batch of words. So here's the setup. The thunder god Perun has this sacred stone, right? It's the source of the land's life and light. But then, this nasty serpent, Zmei, steals it. And just like that, the sky goes quiet, the crops start to fail, and a wave of despair just washes over everything. And that brings us to our very first word, cataclysm. See, this isn't just a problem, it's a disastrous upheaval. Think about it. The stone getting stolen didn't just cause a bad harvest. No, it plunged the entire land into this dark, hopeless state. The story makes cataclysm feel like the end of the world, which is exactly what it means. And that emotional punch, that's what makes the word stick. This whole cataclysm puts our hero, a young warrior named Vuk, into a serious predicament. A really tough spot. His choice is awful. He can either stay home and watch everything he loves just wither away, or he can go on this terrifying, probably impossible quest all by himself. That feeling of being stuck between a rock and a hard place, that is a predicament. The story makes you feel his impossible choice. So who is this guy Vuk? Well, the story doesn't just say he's brave or smart. It uses much better, more precise words. He's got shrewdness, that clever kind of judgment that lets him see things others can't. He's got audacity, a bold courage that's, almost reckless. And the thing driving it all, his zeal, this burning, passionate devotion to his people. These words don't just describe him, they tell us exactly how he's going to win this thing. So, armed with all that shrewdness, audacity, and zeal, Vuk heads off to face the source of the cataclysm itself, the serpent, Zmei. And this is where he comes face to face with pure malice and greed. Now, Vuk's journey into Zmei's lair is no walk in the park. He's got to use all those skills to get through a series of challenges. First, he has to dodge these cleverly hidden traps. Then, he has to resist all the temptations of wealth Zmei throws at him. And finally, he has to use his words to expose the villain's own foolishness. And that first step highlights such a great word choice. The traps aren't just dangerous, they're insidious. They're treacherous in this hidden, sneaky way. They're the tripwires you don't see, the floor that looks solid but totally isn't. The word itself even sounds quiet, kind of like a whisper, and it perfectly captures that creeping sense of hidden danger you feel as Vuk goes deeper. And right here, the story puts our hero and villain head-to-head through the very words that define them. Vuk's unshakable resolve goes up against Zmei's deep-seated enmity or pure hatred. Vuk's powerful eloquence is met with Zmei's tempting allurement. It's a clash of honor versus this boastful vainglory. The vocabulary itself literally becomes the battlefield. So what's driving all this evil? Well, it all boils down to one powerful word: avarice. This isn't just about wanting stuff. It's an obsessive, all-consuming greed. Zmei's avarice is so extreme that he was willing to steal the Thunderstone and doom the entire world, just so he could have its light all to himself. Now that's the destructive power of this word, made totally real by the story's cataclysm. So Vuk manages to defeat the serpent, but his quest isn't over. He's at the final and maybe hardest stage. He finds the Thunderstone, but it's being protected by a fierce guardian. And this final test, it's not about strength, it's all about character. At this critical moment, Vuk doesn't pull out his sword. He prays. And this quote shows a huge shift in him. From raw audacity to real wisdom. He admits his people's failings and then reaffirms his pure motivation, his zeal. And this is what finally wins the day. The Guardian sees his contrition, his genuine regret. It recognizes his rectitude, his unwavering moral goodness, and it senses his fortitude, that quiet, tough-as-nails strength that got him through every single trial. These aren't words about fighting. They're words about character. With the Guardian's approval, Vuk restores the Thunderstone. The storms come back, the land begins to heal, and a peaceful harmony returns. Vuk's quest is finally over, and in completing it, he's created an enduring legacy for his people to look up to. So we've walked through the whole myth, but now let's zoom out and look at the big picture here. Why is this method just so darn effective? What's the secret ingredient? It really all comes down to this. Our brains are just wired for stories. A narrative gives an abstract word like rectitude, a real-world home. A character, like Vuk, becomes a mental anchor for words like audacity. And all the emotion of the journey, the despair, the hope, the triumph, that's what makes the vocabulary actually stick. It's pretty much a masterclass in learning efficiently. And get this, while we've only touched on a handful today, the full story seamlessly weaves in 34 advanced words. Every single one is taught, contextualized, and anchored inside this one short myth. That is an incredibly efficient and powerful way to learn. And that brings us to one final thought. This technique isn't just for learning words. Think about any complex topic you're trying to wrap your head around or maybe explain to someone else. How could you put it inside a narrative? What story could you tell to make the complicated feel simple and the abstract feel totally real?